On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer. But in my heart, I am a gamer. Those were the words of Mr. Iwata, President of Nintendo of Japan. Last night, we heard the news that unfortunately, he passed away. This episode of the Superplex Brothers podcast will be dedicated to him. I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
And today we remember Satoru Iwata. Mr. Iwata was a character. He was the man who talked to us directly to let us know what was going on with Nintendo. He was there for gamers, and he cared deeply about what we thought about his products. The man was so inspirational to the video game industry, and he played such a role that, quite frankly, without him, the very scene of gaming would be completely different. Last night, we heard the unfortunate news that he passed away due to medical circumstances. The weight of such a tragedy came crashing down on gamers across the globe. For many of us, Satoru Iwata was the man behind many of our fondest memories as children, and for others, he offered a glimpse of happiness, even if only for a short while. The gaming industry may be a lot of things, but the one thing it is, first and foremost, is a means of putting smiles on the faces of those who want to pick up a controller and leave this world for a little while. Mr. Iwata understood that. He not only understood it, he embraced it, lived it, and breathed it. His love for gamers was so immense that if he believed he let us down, he not only let us know, but he would show the world how sorry he was. He would take pay cuts and offer sincere apologies. The man was genuine and deserves all of our respect and admiration. So today, tomorrow, and for the rest of our lives, gamers will continue to pay tribute to this man. He loved us, and we loved him. Thank you, Satoru Iwata, for everything you've done for me, for Matt, and for gamers across the globe.
I don't know how anyone is supposed to follow that. I was the one who was browsing Twitter at the time. I was also working on, ironically enough, I was working on our Pokemon fan game, where I was kind of practicing mapping. And I happened to take a break, and I went on Twitter for a minute to see what was kind of going on in Gamergate and OP Skynet and everything. And I saw a retweet from Nintendo of Japan, and at first I was like, there's no way. I Googled it. There was no information available anywhere. There was no news stories. There was nothing. I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. This could be a hoax. Because it wouldn't be the first time that some iconic person was, announced dead when they weren't. But unfortunately, not even like 2 minutes after I decided not to say anything, that I saw the link appear again, and I actually clicked it, and I realized this was Nintendo's corporate website. And at the same time I realized this, I saw IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, etc. all start posting articles confirming that Satoru Iwata had passed away. And I broke the news to Dave, John, and everybody else who writes for our website. And the initial reaction, I think, was just confusion. I mean, the last time we saw Iwata, he looked healthy. The last thing we heard from Iwata was him apologizing for Nintendo's performance at E3 and promising that the company was going to do better. The last thing we got, the last bit of information we got from Satoru Iwata was an apology because the internet could not stop bitching.
It goes back to what I was saying about his love for gamers was as pure as humanly possible. He loved us. To him, we were like family. we were nobody. I mean, we're just a couple of guys in different parts of the world. We play video games. We never met him a day in our lives. He never met us. There's no way he could. But yet, if he knew that we were gamers, he took us in like we were family. And that kind of dedication you don't see something like that all the time. You don't. And this man really loved what he did. He loved what he provided for people. And I'm sure that if he were here right now, he would say that his mission in life was to put smiles on the face of everyone.
And he succeeded. Oh man.
We're sorry if we get a little choked up. This is... there's nothing we could do about this. This really took us all by surprise. And I really have to say something here. I never really knew how important he was to the gaming industry when he was alive. And I regret that. I just knew that he was the president of Nintendo. I figured he made some games. You know, who hasn't, if they work for a big gaming development company. But I never knew just how immense this man contributed to the very face of gaming as we know it. Back in 1989, Satoru Iwata was put in charge of the North American translation of Dragon Quest, known as Dragon Warrior. And that might not seem like much, but Dragon Warrior was really the first JRPG, or at least the first prominent one. There may have been some others before that I don't know about. I really don't know. I apologize for not having looked up the information proper. But the fact that he brought that over, had he not, the North American audience would probably never know what a JRPG is. And he's also done many more things. Without him, we wouldn't have Kirby. We wouldn't have Earthbound. We wouldn't have gotten Generation 2 of Pokemon Gold and Silver. We wouldn't have gotten so many games. His direct influence was responsible for so many great moments in our lifetime that we owe him a debt of gratitude that, quite frankly, cannot be paid. We cannot pay it back. There is not enough time in the world and not enough means and resources to pay him back for the fond memories of a lifetime of joy that he's given us. And unfortunately, he's no longer here to see that we all appreciate him and everything he's done.
Yeah, I didn't even know until yesterday that he played a huge part in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which when I was a child, those were my favorite games. And even now, today, they're some of my favorite Pokemon games, some of my favorite JRPG games. Of course, my tastes matured as I got older. More mature games came out that I liked better. But Pokemon Gold and Silver, even though I did play Pokemon Red, Pokemon Gold and Silver and Crystal, because I guess he had an indirect hand in that, they were probably one of the biggest games I played as a child. And Dave, you're old and whatnot, because, obviously you weren't exactly a child when Pokemon Gold and Silver came out. But, I didn't realize that without Iwata, the whole Kanto region wouldn't have been in the game. He created the compression tools required to fit the two Pokemon regions into the same cartridge, and I didn't realize that at that point in time he was still developing. I mean, yeah, he wasn't president yet at the time, but to think that he had such a big role in that, because without Kanto in that game, Pokemon Gold and Silver and Crystal, they wouldn't have been nearly as iconic and popular as they are today. And then I also read that when they created Pokemon Stadium for the Nintendo 64, another game that I played the shit out of as a child, I loved the 3D battle system. He coded that in a week. That's fucking amazing. And I only hope that as I go into the game industry, that I can be half the man that Iwata was. To have half the impact that Iwata had on people. I think having at least half that would be a great accomplishment in anyone's lifetime. I don't think there will ever be someone who is quite the same, who quite loves gamers the same way as Satoru Iwata did. I just don't see it. Sure, there are some great guys still out there, like hell, Miyamoto is still part of Nintendo, and when he goes, God help us.
God help me.
But I still can't wrap my head around the idea that Iwata is gone. It seems like it's a dream. I'm just waiting to wake up.
I know exactly that feeling. As scary as it is, a month to the day, Dusty Rhodes died back in June. And July we had Iwata. And to put it bluntly, the impact that Iwata had on gaming industry is, I would say, on par with what Dusty Rhodes was to the wrestling industry. It's that huge of a death and just as tragic. And
yeah.
It's
as sudden.
It's just as sudden too. Absolutely. It's insane. Iwata was a prodigy of tech. He was a coding genius. He was able to do things that nobody else even conceived of doing at the time. The fact that he was able to program an entire battle system for a Pokemon game in a week, or was able to compress an entire game's worth of information for a side quest in another game. Nobody ever dreamed of something like that before, and yet he was able to do it. And of course, we can't forget his hand in HAL Laboratories. This is the company that gave us all kinds of great games, like Smash Brothers, and Mario Party, and Kirby, and all these other games. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. He's been a part of many great projects, and just he's produced and been executive producer of many projects and many games that we grew up and loved. And I guess now is a good time to talk about some of these games. And I guess I'll go first. I think, obviously, you gotta talk about Kirby. Because Kirby was a big part of my childhood as well. And he was responsible for games like Kirby's Adventure, a game that I love. It's a fun game. Earthbound. He was a programming director, program co-producer. Earthbound is one of the best RPGs of the 16-bit era, in my opinion. He had a huge hand in that. Kirby Superstar, again, going back to Kirby, just so many Kirby games that he's done. Super Smash Brothers. All the Pokemon games. It's just, there's too many. And of course, he was executive producer of so many games after that. The Fire Emblem games. There's just way too many. Way too many. Again, we owe this man a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid.
Yeah. At this point, I don't really know what to add. You mentioned how he was the executive producer of many games. Even probably throughout the next couple years, we'll still see games coming out from Nintendo that have him listed as executive producer. And sure, you could argue that, well, executive producer doesn't really mean he did anything. And that's technically true if you just look at what executive producer really means. But when you really think about it, if he didn't okay some of these games, we never would have gotten them. Iwata pushed for these games to exist in the first place. I remember reading about an interview he had where they were talking about Super Mario Galaxy. And Miyamoto kind of asked them, what kind of expectations do you have for this game? What do you want in this game? And Iwata was like, I want you to create a game that can just show what the Wii is all about, what the Wii is capable of. And just to put that kind of faith in someone, you could say, oh, it's Miyamoto, of course you'd have that kind of faith in someone. But to just basically get a concept of a game and go, okay, make it good. You don't hear about that kind of faith coming down from any of the other presidents on all these other companies. Iwata was a genuine human being. A good human being. Something that the game industry, let's be frank, is lacking in. So many of these companies are fucked up, run by assholes. And I can only hope that the next president of Nintendo isn't one of them.
No. Let's seriously hope that he isn't. It's amazing. It's hard to really say, but you said it best. So genuine. And we're never going to see anyone like him again. Never.
No. And
I just think it's amazing how much he did for gamers, and not just in the game, making side of things, but he loved just doing things for the fans. He always tried to please the fans. He always tried to put smiles on their faces, even through things like his Nintendo Directs. He tried to be different. He tried to do whatever he could to give people something to look forward to. And if he felt he let them down, he let them know about it. And
when the Wii U failed, and he cut his wages in half, what other CEO in history would cut their own personal wages in half to make sure that he could keep all of his regular employees happy and take all of the blame on the Wii U? He put all of the blame on the Wii U on his own shoulders. You would never see that anywhere else today. Anywhere.
Indeed. The simple fact is, he did so much for gamers, and I mean, I'm a broken record at this point, but he loved us. He cherished us. And there's only so much that we can really say about him. But I think it's best to just wrap this up by saying, Iwata, we miss you. We love you. You were all kinds of things for us, and we didn't even know it. You did all kinds of great things for us, and yeah, people would joke about you. People would say
we did.
People would say terrible things about you. People would say terrible things about your company. And all you did was stare back with a smile and just say, I'm sorry.
We made a parody video that I almost want to take down, but I'm not going to. You think we should?
I think we should.
Yeah. I think he would have liked it, though. I mean, it wasn't, mean. It wasn't
no, he probably would have found it funny, but I think out of respect, we should take it down.
Yeah. But, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'll take it down. I didn't realize that I'd be sitting here thinking, you know, I knew Iwata was an important figure in gaming. And now I just, when I go into this industry, I really want to just do some of the, not obviously the same things he did, but just to be the kind of person that he was. That quote from the beginning of the episode today, where he says, in his heart, he is a gamer. I truly believe that. And I know many thousands of people around the world are also thinking the same thing, but Iwata's spirit will live on in this next generation of game developers. And I'm proud to be one of them. Thank you, Iwata.
I guess with that, I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
We're the Superplex brothers, and again, Iwata, we love you. We're gonna miss you. Rest in peace.
I have to say, when I heard of Iwata's passing, I was shocked, to say the least. He's done so much. His respect was well earned, and the Nintendo Direct always gave me a good chuckle. My deepest condolences go out to his family and his associates.
Satoru Iwata was a president that a lot of people really liked, and a lot of people also disagree with the decisions that he made. But regardless of what he did with Nintendo, he was just such a bright-spirited guy, and he always stayed positive, and he was the kind of person that I feel like Nintendo needed. Just everything that he contributed to, like whenever he worked at HAL, all the way up to whenever he became president of Nintendo. Mr. Iwata was such a great man, and my sympathies go out to everybody out in the gaming community, his family, everybody who works at Nintendo that was close to him. Somebody who's that young at age 55, certainly such a young age to just be taken away. But the legend Satoru Iwata, for everything that you have done, thank you very much.
When I first heard about Satoru Iwata's passing, I was on Twitter, and Nintendo of America sent out a tweet stating that they were going to do a moment of silence in remembrance of Satoru Iwata. And when I first saw that tweet, I was shocked to hear about his passing so soon. And I had to check Wikipedia to see if the facts were true, and sure enough, he actually had a tumor, which was malignant, and there was really no way to get out of that. So I just want to bid my farewell to Satoru Iwata. If it hadn't been for him, we wouldn't have Kirby or Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, Wind Waker, all those games that he did during his tenure as CEO of Nintendo. May he forever be missed.
One way or another, Iwata was the reason why we got games such as Smash Bros., Mother 2 and 3, and many, many other great games. His work on encoding Gen 2 Pokemon made it one of my favorite games of all time. However, if I can thank him for anything personally, it would be having such a great hand in the Kirby series. With his help, it is one of my favorite gaming franchises to date. My heart goes out to his family, friends, and coworkers. I think we can all wish them the best through these tough times. We will not forget the memories he gave all of us in the games that he made. Rest in peace, Iwata.
On Satoru Iwata. There are very few CEOs of AAA developers that could claim to be a gamer at heart and sound sincere about it. From his early days showing off his chops as a developer to his tenure as Nintendo's CEO, Mr. Iwata showed zeal and dedication not only to Nintendo, but to the gaming community as a whole. Though Nintendo's been having a bit of a rough time since the launch of the Wii U, Nintendo still sees some success because of its direct presentations, because of how the combined efforts of Mr. Iwata, Mr. Miyamoto, and Mr. Fizeme, how they grabbed the audience and made them believe, made them get excited about whatever it is that Nintendo was presenting there. And it's my hope that Mr. Iwata's replacement shares the love of the gaming community that he had and that he constantly showed during his tenure as Nintendo's CEO.
Iwata, gone but not forgotten. Philly, much thanks for the production on those games that I love. Mario, Zelda, Metroid Prime, Smash Bros. So many good memories, and for that I thank you. May rest in peace from one gamer to another.
Really one of the great losses of recent gaming history, Satoru Iwata. You look at his time at Nintendo, it speaks for itself. Not to mention the times that before he became president, like when he basically recoded Pokemon Gold and Silver from scratch to a point that they managed to include Kanto, or how he pretty much had to retranslate all of Red and Green so that it would work for Pokemon Stadium. Just look at where Nintendo was when he became president. You have the GameCube failing terribly. The Game Boy Advance is sort of at the end of its longevity. And what does he do? You go and reinvent the wheel with the DS, then again with the DS Lite. Obviously, the real game changer with the Wii, that basically Nintendo's sort of a second wind after failing in third place for a couple of console generations. You kind of wonder where Nintendo's going to go with this. But yeah, it's a damn shame. We have lost one of the real geniuses of this industry.
I miss you.